There was this married man, had children old enough to be in university and beyond. And the only problem that this man had that absolutely upset his wife was that this man was sleeping around with girls old enough to be his own daughters, right? He did this for years, upsetting to the wife. And despite, you know, back to back conversations, people intervening, this guy could just not stop this behavior and attitude of his. This went on for many years until he became severely ill. He was struck by a really bad stroke and it took over everything, his mobility, everything. Couldn't do anything. Was completely bedridden and completely reliant on this same wife that he had cheated on for years and caused this woman so much pain and anguish. Now, in the course of treatment, whilst he was bedridden and the wife was taking care of him full time, cleaning him, bathing him, feeding him, everything, his side chicks who didn't know that he was upset and out of business were still calling, texting, sending messages, asking for money like you can't even believe. There was one particular girl who was very relentless and kept sending messages all the time. One night, after the wife had done everything, they were lying in bed, and this man had fallen asleep. This young girl sent another text message asking the man for money to go get Brazilian hair for a certain function that she had to go for. The wife, on seeing this message, decided that she was going to respond to the message as though it was the husband who had sent the message. So she took the phone and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, darling. I'm so sorry that I haven't been in touch and I haven't been able to respond to your messages all this time. I haven't been very well. And, I traveled and I'm just back in town now. And luckily for us, my wife is not home. She's gone out. She's out of the country at the moment. So if you want to come by and stay for the night, you can come over. We'll spend the night together and have some fun. And of course, I can give you the money that you need for what you talked about. So I'll be waiting for you tonight. Make sure you get here by 7 p.m. and I'll be waiting for you." This girl, on getting the message, is so excited, and she goes to put on her best clothing, provocative clothing, exposing, everything and all of that. And she gets dressed and heads to the guy's house. She knows the place because they've been meeting there on escapades whenever the man's wife was away. So she gets to the house, the gate man lets her in, she walks to the front door. By the time she could knock on the door, the door flings open and she's entering the house. So she entered the house and the door slammed behind her. And all of a sudden she could hear locks, and then she turned around and here is the wife, the madame of the house that she wasn't expecting. The same person that she had been told was gone for a trek out of the country. The same person was there in the flesh. She just wanted the earth to open so she could enter, because this was the least expected outcome from all of this. And the wife said, "Oh, I am so happy to see you. I just found out that you're one of the many people that we have all been enjoying from this same farm. When the harvest comes, we all enjoy. We all done the chop the thing too. So, we dey chop them, we dey eat them, we dey do everything. When the work too come, we must do them. There's harvest time and planting time. We've harvested for so many years. Now it's time for planting and weeding and gathering the crops and clearing the weeds and watering. I've done my own fair share of watering and planting and weeding. Now it's your turn to come and help me. Since we are all enjoying, when the work too comes, we must also enjoy that one as well, so that we can continue to reap bountiful harvest from our farm." Our oga, e dey sick. Me, I clean am, do everything for so many months now. I don tire. So now I need to go on holiday and rest my soul. So you take over and look after our man. Take care of our husband, oh. Take care of am, oh. If anything happens to our farm, I hold you responsible. Get in a bedroom, ask him what he wants to eat, get in the kitchen, cook him something, clean the kitchen, clean the house, feed him, bathe him, and make sure that he's never wet, there's no mess, there's nothing. Clean him up. She wanted to leave. She was looking for somewhere to jump out of, some window or some door to leave the house. The woman said, look, I've got the whole house surrounded. Oh. If you leave this compound, there are people waiting outside the gate to finish you. Give you, well, if you no want problem, you cannot take this one quietly, peacefully. They do am. This girl started crying. Oh my God, what have I done? How could this happen to me? And all of that. But she had to do what she had to do. So this girl started sharing the planting, the watering, the gathering with Madame. Since she and Madame have been sharing this whole time, she also has to do the work too at the same time. Now, the moral of the story, the reason why I'm talking about this is, and I'll start with the side chick, is that if this girl loved herself enough, practiced self-discipline, relied on herself, and learned how to use the skills, the gifts, and the talents that she'd been given by her creator on the day of her birth, she would have her own money, be self-sufficient, be able to do everything for herself, and not need to be sneaking around and taking things that don't belong to her, that have landed her in this trouble of now having to plant and water because she took where she didn't sow. She had reaped where she hadn't sown, and so she had to pay the price. If there are any side chicks, side hens, side cockerels all over the place enjoying things at other people's expense, know that there is a price to pay for taking things that don't belong to you. What goes around always does come around. Okay? Now, to Oga, I'm addressing you now. If you loved your wife, the wife that you purported to love, forsaking all others, and remain truthful, devoted, and committed to her in the times of your distress, she would have equally, happily loved you enough and stood and stuck with you through thick and thin, because that is what life is all about. Self-discipline, self-control, and asking God to help you to sustain your mind. Use your mind and activate your mind into doing things that are progressive. It's the only way in order to have success with everything that you set out to do and reach the fullness of your destiny. Can you imagine how much money this man would have saved up if he just stuck to his wife instead of dishing out monies to young girls that he's old enough to parent? When I tell men, keep your in your pants and don't go dishing it out all the time. Stick to your wife that you yourself chose to love. People don't understand. And polygamy is a thing. It's an African thing. Yes. Is this also an African thing? Loving the person that is there for you in the good times and the bad times. It's a fair way of ensuring that in the times of distress, because you treated the people well, because you treated your wife well, because you were there for her, because you loved her and forsaking every other woman, your eyes only saw her, she might also be persuaded to stick with you when troubled times come. It is the treatment that men give women in the down times that determines whether the women have any desire whatsoever to stick around in the bad times, in the drought, in the farming season. As for this woman, this madam, I applaud her so much. Like this lesson, lesson 101. I don't even know how else a lesson can be learnt. My guys, I just want to say today, if you haven't booked yourself on the personal development webinar that is going to get you from point A to point B, that is literally going to change your whole mindset and your whole life and enable you to do the things that you should have been doing this whole time that you haven't been able to figure out how to do. 4th of February, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. GMT. Book yourself a seat. The link is going to be at the top of this video and in the comment section. Book yourself a seat and come, and your life will never, ever be the same. You'll figure out what it is that you need to be, who it is that you want to be, and the things that you need to have, the skill sets that you need to have in order to be able to accomplish the things that you want and have set out for yourself in 2023. It is doable. It is possible if you stretch, if you're willing to invest in yourself. Come, acquire the knowledge and the know-how, and your life will never be the same. I can't wait to see you guys. I love you so much. I want to see us all making 23 the year of difference in all of our lives. Young girls, in 2023, level don't change. It is time for us to equip ourselves to be self-reliant and self-dependent on ourselves, that we don't need to go and be a side hen and a side chick and a side mosquito to anybody. And men, in 2023, it is time for us to elevate our minds, have and practice self-discipline to save ourselves a whole lot of wahala which ensues when you choose not to stay committed and faithful to the vows and the chastity and the sanctity of marriage, and the promises and the vows that you made on that faithful day before God, your family, and man. That is the moral of the story. I hope that the lessons have been learned by all concerned, and I hope that you would book yourself on that webinar on the 4th of February, and your life will be transformed forever. The name has always been Sika, will always be Sika, and it's time for me to say adios. I love you. Bye.